Before starting this video, I just want to say thank you so much for the support on my last film video. The support has been overwhelming, and welcome to all the new people. My passion in life is films, and I would love to make film content for the rest of my life. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about my true passion, and I hope to see a lot of you again. So Funny Games is a horror movie. But Funny Games isn't a horror movie about monsters, ghouls, skeletons, ghosts. It's a movie about the real monster of our current world, which is humanity itself. You won't find jump scares and skin-rattling scores. Instead, you get long, quiet shots of dread and loss, scenes of lost trust and unexpected brutality. So Funny Games starts with a normal lakeside vacation for the Farbers. Farbers are going away for the summer, just on a little vacation, just get away. The Farbers are a family of three: George, the husband, Anne, the wife, and Georgie, their son. On their vacation, they are met by a duo of kids, or young adults, named Peter and Paul. They are polite, handsome, and look well put together. They simply ask for things such as eggs and other shareable necessities, and eventually, a switch is flipped and things take a turn for the worst. Peter and Paul begin to torture the family and start what the title is, the Funny Games. The overall point of the game is to survive by 9 a.m. the next day, and you survive the attack in total. They will stop torturing you, they will stop harassing you, they will leave if you survive by 9 a.m. From here on out, the movie draws you into a never-ending loop of sickening scenes showing torture, harassment, and these two deranged men taking reign over this innocent family for 108 minutes. For the rest of this video, I will be going into spoiler territory, so if you haven't watched this movie, go check it out. It's on HBO Max. Honestly, or don't, because it literally could ruin your life. So throughout the movie, they actually break the fourth wall quite a lot. The main character, Paul, speaks directly to the audience. When the attacks start, he even looks at the camera and asks which side you're on. Assumes that you're on the family side, and he even says to make a bet if they're gonna make it by 9 a.m. or not. When I first watched this movie, this scene completely caught me off guard. With any fourth wall break, if it's done well, it does catch you off guard. A lot of the times, I say that fourth wall breaks are a little bit tacky, but this movie does it perfectly.
Sie sind doch auf Ihrer Seite, oder? Also, auf wen setzen Sie?
This is a reoccurring act in the film, and it plays a huge part towards the end, so keep that in mind. This addition to the movie not only adds to the helplessness of the family, but to the viewer as well. You now realize that they are in full control. Not of just the family themselves, but the film as a whole. It stops becoming a movie and becomes a spectacle. The wall is broken and you're there with them now, standing right next to them watching their atrocities take place. This movie almost solely takes place in the living room, where the family is sat down on the couch, tied up, and tortured for the rest of the film. Toying with them, telling the wife to take her clothes off, things of that nature. I would also like to add that the husband was hit in the leg with a golf club, breaking it, causing him not able to move throughout the whole entire film. During the first scene of them terrorizing the family in the living room, George actually escapes the home. This starts a chase scene between Paul and George. Even though George escapes, in these moments of freedom, you never really feel like you're easing up. You have this overarching feeling of dread the whole entire time. Even when George escapes, you know that something bad is gonna happen. This movie never eases up so bad to the point where I would say if you have a heart condition, I would not watch this movie, and I'm not even kidding. I believe I saw this movie when I was around 18 or 19. I just rewatched it for this video, and I still got heart problems while watching this movie. Unfortunately, you find out that George doesn't find any help, and that the home that he goes to is empty. George is transported back to the house, and it resets the whole entire situation. That little bit of freedom that you got for that 5 minutes is completely gone. After this scene, I would say the most pivotal scene in the movie happened. Paul, being the guy that he is, says that he's hungry, and that he wants to go make a sandwich in the kitchen. When he's in there, he starts taking out the ingredients that he was asking for in the beginning of the movie, funny enough. He starts asking the other room, is anybody hungry, doing his whole shtick, his whole funny guy persona. While he's making it, he hears a shotgun blast go off in the other room. The blast is followed by muffled screams and shuffling. Paul then goes to check on the situation. When he walks into the room, this starts a 10-minute one-take scene of the parents grieving over the dead body of their child, George. Peter, the other psychopath that was left in the room with them, shot George. This one-take scene really stuck with me. It didn't just stick with me in a horror movie type of way, in a genre of horror. This stuck with me in the whole of film. There is no movie that I can compare this to that made me feel the way that this 10-minute one-take made me feel. It's real, visceral, and painful to watch. I specifically remember when I watched the movie, I felt a cold sensation run over my body and felt that hard lump in your throat that you can't swallow. There were parts where I even looked away from the screen because of how uncomfortable I truly felt. When Paul finds that Peter shot George, they leave the house. They say the game is ruined and they can't get anything else out of the family anymore. This 10-minute one-take scene is just husband and wife grieving in the room over their dead son in front of them. There's no sound, there's no music, the TV is going, and it is quiet. For the next 30 minutes of the film, it's the family recouping, deciding what to do next. In the beginning of the film, their phones were thrown into water and they were broken and they could not work. So they decide to change the battery and then put a hairdryer on it, hoping that the phone works so they can call the police. The phone isn't working, so the husband tells the wife to go out and look for help since his leg is violently broken from the golf club incident earlier. The wife goes house to house, seeing if she can find anybody to help them, but ends up coming across no one. She goes to the road, hoping she can wave down a car to help her get away, get help, bring them back to the house. She sees headlights come across the road, but she hides because she's hesitant, thinking it might be them. She jumps out on the road and the car drives right by, not helping her. Luckily, there was another car right behind them that actually stopped to help her. It cuts back to the house. The father is covering his deceased child with a blanket, and he hears footsteps approaching. His wife has come back, and he's finally ready to leave this house. The wife is returned by Peter and Paul, and once again, the situation is reset. Back to square one, they start harassing the family, asking her what they're going to use to kill her husband, and she eventually grabs the shotgun that they have and shoots Peter, killing him. Finally, a win for us, a win for the viewer. Paul starts freaking out and screaming, "Where's the remote?" As the scene played out, I felt a tiny bit of relief that something was finally going to change. But I was wondering, why is he screaming about a remote? Paul goes over to the couch, grabs the remote, and rewinds the movie. Yup, just rewinds the whole movie. He goes back right to where the wife grabs the shotgun and kills Peter and stops her. You heard me right, they stop the wife from killing Peter. They actually do. He then takes the shotgun, executes the husband, and takes the wife out on a boat. They tie her up and toss her off the edge of the boat, drowning her. The movie ends with Paul going up to another family's house, asking if they can spare some eggs. He looks at the camera, smiles, and the movie ends, starting the process over again. To me personally, the reason this movie is so disturbing and sticks with me for so long is how real it is. I know this is going to be kind of niche, but there was this one Simpsons animation that some dude made back in the day where a home intruder comes in and kills the whole entire family, and it gives me that same vibe. Although it is a bit over the top and you don't really hear news stories like this come out, this could happen to you. Realistically, this could happen. I'm going to get more into the topic as to why I find it so disturbing, and I would just want to see if you can relate. So there's actually two versions of this movie. There's one that's not in English and there's one that is English. So when I look up what the language is for the original 1997, it says it's a German language Australian film. The other movie, the remake, is entirely in English. I would also like to add that the writer and the director are both the same for both of the movies. But to me, the non-English 1997 movie is the superior version. There's something so off-putting about older looking movies, and especially in the horror genre. I can't really put my finger on it. It's also the audio. The audio is a bit crunchy as well. It sounds a little bit distorted sometimes when people yell, and it kind of makes your hair stand up on the back of your neck. I also think that because it's not in English, you aren't entirely sure what is being said all the time unless it is described to you. This also adds to the feeling of uneasiness and not really understanding what's going on entirely. Surprisingly, the remake is a literal one-for-one copy of the movies. If you haven't seen any of them, I would say watch the original, but if you are bad with subtitles or just don't want to read along, then the remake does do its job properly. The subject matter is equally disturbing, but to me, the original was way more disturbing. So that's basically all I have to say for Funny Games. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to make more like this in the future, and I will see you guys in another one. Peace out.